Okay, I want to go over a couple things with genograms. Um, I know there's a lot of different ways you can do genograms and things like that, but there are some common patterns and things to notice. So I'm just going to go through a few things. I think you all know a square is a male and a circle is a female, and that's a marriage at this point. So let's say you had a son and daughter. Maybe they're separated, and so these two are distant. Now, one thing that's common when you have a distant husband and wife is oftentimes the mother and the daughter will be what's called fused or enmeshed. So enmeshed is a way of looking at a relationship that is what would be considered too close. Now, some people get confused. This doesn't mean that they're too connected in terms of emotionally connected, but there's a lack of boundaries. So an example of that would be the mother's talking to the daughter about their marital problems or something like that. It's just not appropriate. So they're fused, meaning lack of boundaries. Now, if you notice, if the wife and the husband are distant and the mother and the daughter are fused, likely what that will create is a conflictual relationship between the daughter and the father. And this is what we call triangulation. So if you see that, what happens is the daughter is put in the middle, really the two sides. She either likes the mom and is distant, or conflictual, could be one or the other with the dad, or likes the dad and is distant or conflictual with the mom because of the strain between the husband and the wife. So when we talk about triangles in your genograms, those are the types of things you'll want to look for. It's when someone is put in a position where they can't really be connected or have a positive, healthy relationship with both, or in a sense forced to choose sides. And the most common way is a daughter or a son being put in the middle of parents. Now, these could be adult children, so this doesn't necessarily, she could be married still and have her own child, and one thing you'll start to notice is if she is conflictual with the husband, her father, she may not have the best example of what a relationship is like, so it's very possible this one could be distant or conflictual as well. And then even maybe this is an infant or a 2-year-old or something, and she might be really close, too close in the sense to her daughter. Now, how can you be too close to a 2-year-old that doesn't really talk? Well, let's say any time that the wife needs emotional or physical comfort, she will always goes to her daughter rather than seeking out her husband. Now, obviously, it's a mutual thing. It's not necessarily the wife's fault at this point, but there you can see it's an intergenerational pattern that because of certain things happen in her own relationship with her parents, maybe some of that's carrying on down here. Now, the father down here is probably not going to be conflictual to the daughter, but he may be distant. Now, one thing to think about is if the father is distant from the mother and from the daughter, he may be close to a friend or even to something, what we would call it, like we usually put a triangle here. And that could be an object like golf. Some people are close to golf. Workaholics. They could be connected to something outside of the relationship. So, those are some things to think about with genograms. Another thing that you might want to consider is with the genogram, when you talk about triangulation, you can also talk about detriangulation. So detriangulation is, as a therapist, how would you fix the situation? Let's say this husband and wife came in to therapy. Well, you can see that this really may be a symptom of this relationship up here. And this isn't always the case, but a family of origin therapist would say, well, let's maybe try to work on this system up here And what would be the most impactful thing would be to either set a boundary here, or even better, make this relationship close. And that's the case. Hopefully this would turn from fused to just close, and maybe they won't be conflictual anymore. Maybe they can heal some things and become close too, which would equally invite her to do the same and set a boundary here and seek out the husband to be closer. So I thought I'd do this. Hopefully this will give you a little bit of guidance. I'll try to maybe do another video down the road, but maybe this can give you some ideas.